All right. Uh. All right, everybody. It's Monday. It is Monday. What day is it? May 4th? May the 4th be with you. 2020. I've never said that in my life, so I hope that it wasn't recorded. It didn't actually hit the live thing. Okay, as always, a big thank you to the Red Seats for letting me use this music. It's basically becoming the theme song. You can hear it there in the background. I'm Lorenzo, your host. Today is sort of our free float day. If you have been following along for a little bit, we're just going to talk a little bit about some news. And also, if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat. I also want to take this time to tell you about the upcoming guests. But I don't know what they're going to be. We're still waiting on them to kind of get the info in on my end. It's possible we're just going to talk about news on Wednesday. It's possible we're just talking about news on Friday. I'm hoping that we get to a point where we're talking about happy news. And so if you have happy news, send it my way because I need it. I need it more than anything. I need to gobble it up. I went to I don't know if people have been going to Zoom parties. I don't know if this is a thing that people are experiencing. I experienced some recently. I'm still not good at parties. First one went okay. The second one, I found myself in weird. I don't know. I just gotta hang out with people more. I think that's why we're supposed to socialize so we can be better in situations where other humans come together. But anyways, I don't know how everyone's doing out there. Really exciting times still. I think every time is exciting because life is exciting. So kind of like a misnomer, but we're still here. I'm in the United States of America. I'm not sure where everyone's at. In Minnesota, so dealing with the whole pandemic from here. We are going to talk about it. I know everyone's tired about it, but I'm a little annoyed. Annoyed, is that a good word? I am a little... It's just... Let's just talk about what's going on. Let's talk about it for a little bit. Okay, so it was the weekend. May Day happened. I had a really great guest on May Day. We didn't talk about May Day a lot. We talked about indigenous food. You can look back at the previous episode and just local foods. Definitely take a look at that. You can go through all the previous episodes as well. I feel like that's being missed or whatever. And if you have questions, drop them in the chat. If you have links, drop them in the chat. I'm hoping I'm able to get to them all. I am going to kind of start going through a bunch of stuff. Oh, hey, thanks for the reacts. I'm getting reacts on the Facebook. I'm going to go through a bit some links. And then the first link is always the most depressing. I spent the beginning of the pandemic every day looking. So I remember when it was one person has died, four has died. I remember 4 was a really big deal. And then it was 6, then 100. And then I was well, this isn't fun. But we're going to look at the COVID-19 dashboard here at the John Hopkins put together. So here it is. So I'm not sure if everyone is seeing this. Super bummer stuff. You can see here, we can go look at the United States where they have confirmed 1,178,906 so far. I just thought my mic was muted and I had a little bit of a heart flutter. So we click on that. It brings us to how many people have died in the United States. We're at 68,689 people, human beings with families and relatives. And then for everyone out there, recovered 187,180. I can't do all the math that people are arguing about. This is a pretty big number, unfortunate. If anybody's been following this sort of happening, you've seen this little trend down here. It's kind of increasing. These are all I guess how many people have been tested. I don't think I can... Daily cases. So yeah, so things were going awful before. I think as it breaks down, I get my notes here. I have a little bit, and so yeah, the death rate's pretty fucking brutal. And so we're gonna talk about that. So we have that many people have died, 68,000 in 2-3 months. What is it? I don't know how many per month. But it isn't good. It isn't great math. Doesn't make you feel comfortable. I think we're at averaging 2,000 people passing away each day. That number is going up. We're gonna talk about that. And so, yeah, so let's look at the death rates. This is another kind of interesting thing that's going on too. Not really going on. So in Italy, the mortality rate rises nearly 40%. So we've been following Italy, which is sort of this outbreak area where was kind of this archetype of what we didn't want to happen. Oh, this is this was wrong. Oh no, that's right. It's right. It's not United States. It's different. Anyways, yeah, so their mortality rate is nearly 40%. And what's starting to happen is people are starting to average the average death rates. And so, if you heard all the arguments, you'll be like, this is just like the flu, blah, 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 blah. There's an average amount of people who die from the flu, obviously. There's an average number of people who die every day in the United States, also in every other country. In cities, these are things that are tracked. And so what's going on now is people are realizing that the average number of people dying is way above what they thought, way above what is being given to coronavirus death rate. Total could be 60% higher than reported. Oh, not good news. I wish I had better news. So this is about here. You can see mortality statistics show 122,000 deaths in excess of normal levels across 14 countries analyzed by the FT Financial Times. So we're reading right now. The death toll, so if we go down here, we'll get to the United States because I know that people's ability to look at other countries. So we're in the United States right here. It's New York City, right? So they're saying that the average death rate is around here. I say it's sort of is this kind of common? Oh, look, it's a line of average death rate. And then with this is the current death rate of what we're seeing with COVID-19 sort of in the mix. And so you can see it everywhere. The death rate is substantially higher than what the average is. And so sure, if anyone out there wants to argue out there oh, it's just the flu, but whatever, it's still killing a bunch of new people average daily. Not great. I don't know. I mean, I think we should care. And so this is a huge problem that's happening, and also it's not being there's all sides, you can listen all day long. All sides are talking about how it's nobody's really tracking it, or they're making everything's being attributed to COVID-19. None of these numbers are real. So people are it's just everywhere. It's a nightmare of disinformation. But this is the averages, and then this is how many people have died more in that average. Have a good day, whatever. Let's have a great life. That's what's going on. So we in the United States, we've been on a lockdown for quite a bit. It's loosening up. There's also a right wing sort of pro worker death movement that's kind of nationwide right now. I think they're marching on capitals, getting a lot of press. People are why are they getting so much press? I mean, I won't go into it, but to me, it's pretty obvious why. And they're doing that. And what's going on at the same time is you have the president of the United States in this weird sort of pushing to open everything, I guess, but not wanting to take any responsibility, which is very much his style, to not be responsible for anything unless it's good. And so he's basically pushed on all decision making onto the states, gave guidelines, but then pushed everyone to open, and then people are starting to open, and now he's wait, you shouldn't because your guidelines, but liberate every the places and march in all the places. So basically it's just a smashing together of what people think they should be doing. And it's so bad too that people don't believe that this is a real virus. Well, that's not even true. There's people who don't believe it's a real virus. There's people who don't really care. And then from what I understand, there's a huge anti-vaxxer sort of upheaval that's also in that reopen the work, or we don't want a vaccine anyways because we're not going to take it. And so why would you think that that's going to happen? So that's great. That's what's going on there. The other thing that's going on, which I don't really like, and I hate to share it, and so, yeah, they're how do you say, they're loosening. So everyone's going out. If you watch the internet, I should have brought up. Maybe I can bring up some of these images. They're just I know California. They're just there's just people are going out now. They're kind of giving up on. Sort of what's happened is, and I feel it's like a process. So it's everyone was oh my gosh, this is super scary. Let's take it real serious. Let's take it real serious. I was wow, we've been taking it serious for so long, and it's still scary. Oh, it's just still there. Oh, it's still there. And then it's well, okay, we're done. And it's trending news almost, where it's oh, this has been trending too long, and I hope we can just pay attention to something else, and then this will just go away. And sadly, it looks like what that has caused, and this is another kind of exciting. Not very exciting. There's Politico trying to get in your timeline. Model shifts to predict dramatically more U.S. deaths as states relax social distancing. I mean, if there has ever been a time for the obvious thing that's going to happen, this is it. And so a key model favored by the White House nearly doubled its prediction to 134,000 fatalities by August. So we're at 60. I mean, so in this modeling, right, it's a key model, blah, blah, blah. And again, I don't know, everyone's oh, it's a model and whatever. Just fuck off. People are dying all the time. People are trying to predict it and trying to stop it from happening somehow. So this is some shit they use. So the rise of child mobility in the last week or 10 days likely into an increase in transmission. Yeah, so everyone's hanging out. So this part is really kind of like disturbing, right? So our numbers are nowhere near that level. They said no. What's that? Basically, they will put the brakes on the transmission enough that we won't see. Yeah. So they're saying that if they do all this stuff correctly. Yeah, they're trying to do the contact tracing miles, but they're predicting that it's gonna be like 3,000 deaths. That will put the brakes on the transmission that we won't see 3,000 deaths by June 1st. So yeah. So they're predicting as many as 3,000 deaths per day by June. Okay, so like that makes me think a lot about math. Yeah, Florida opened a bunch of beaches as well. I can see that as well. So yeah, all these beaches are being opened up. People are like rushing out. Even in like New York City, there's like people just gathering, hanging out on beaches. People just being together because I guess we're social beings. After all the individualist talk, everyone just wants to get together. And so what this is like and that's why these models are changing, so before the model, and it's like, it's so frustrating, right? So before it was like, oh, like we were estimating this large amount of deaths, but everyone was staying home and it was so great. And well, not great, but people were staying home and like, oh, the modeling was going different. All of a sudden there's not that many deaths. And now everyone's like, well, these fucking models are a lie, that was like what that was the response. Like, look, they lied to us. It's like we stayed home and the numbers went down, like, oh, they were just, whatever, fear mongering. And yeah, the numbers went from like, well, the expectations were kind of silly too, because it was like if everyone got sick at the exact same time, which wasn't going to happen. Oh, pandemic fee. Yeah, we'll get there. Yeah, so like there's like states opening up. There's literally people who want, like, I just like, I don't know, like there's like, where's that? Somebody have an image, or maybe there's like an image of a protest where somebody's marching with the actual sign that was on a concentration camp before the people were like gassed, and they're like out there like, we're gonna fucking advocate for this, and that shit's just real, And I was talking about that too. I mean, it's really frustrating to see sort of like this push for people who just want to like let people die, and it's like the things they seem to want are just so ridiculous. They just want like somebody that like, be in the service industry for them to be serviced, so they can feel like they like have some clout. Like that's always been like when I deal with people in the service industry, I'm just kind of like, oh my god, thank you so much for doing whatever you're doing. I don't care what it is, but that's just who I am. It's like, oh fuck, I'm not doing that shit. You're doing it for me. Thank you so fucking much. But it seems like other people's perception are like, oh, you're in the service industry, so you serve me and I am above you. And I don't know, like that's sort of like people just want that hierarchy of some sort of power, and maybe they just feel like powerless because like everybody they're once able to order around at a restaurant to get them shit they can't do anymore, and they just realize they're just another human being just like everyone else. Yeah, so yeah, they don't want to pay the unemployment. So that's another thing that's happening too, right? So Trump. It's like multifold, and I should have got all these links together. I feel bad. I could get them, but it's like it's just gonna take time. But yeah, so the current government of the United States of America, a wing of it, is trying to ensure that businesses cannot be sued for liability for their workers getting sick on the job. Right? They're gonna try. They're trying to pass a stimulus. I don't know if they have. If you know, please send it my way. They try to pass stimulus with these protections for the businesses. So like, and then of course the Trump is like, all the meatpacking workers have to go back to work. They're not getting a raise. They're not getting hazard pay. They're not getting health care. They're not getting nothing. They're just going back to work because they're required to because of who knows why. They're literally not required to. First of all, there's no such fucking thing, right? I don't have to do shit, right? Nobody has to do shit. No one has to do anything. So they're not required to do anything. But they're penalizing them for not doing it by saying that, if you don't go back to risk your life, you're gonna be kicked off the unemployment rolls because now it's like, oh, you're required to go to work. So if you don't go to work, you're gonna be kicked off the unemployment rolls, and you're just gonna have to die out in the fucking streets instead of in the factory. That shit's outrageous, and I don't know why people aren't. I mean, people are mad. But the anger that I always see is the same shit where it's like, oh, I'm so mad, I'm gonna ask somebody to do something nice for me, And you just have a situation where, like, you have the right-wing protesters at the Capitol armed with guns to, like, say we should go back to work and live some sort of, like, fantasy that they've been trying to live forever. Like, literally, like, that's just their shit. They just want to like not have to worry about the fact they have to deal with their lives and hope they can be in some sort of engagement. I don't know. Anyways, it's no good. And yeah, then you have like, like May Day, there was a lot of protests. I don't know if anyone watched. There was protests that went down. There was housing occupations that went down, saying like homeless people should be housed. Let's just take this house over because it's been empty for 10 years. Those people got arrested. Like that's what happened to them. There was a convoy that happened to protest. I can't remember where. The convoy was pulled over and they were all arrested. And then the people who, some people. Yeah, so that's what's going on, and also there's frustration from, I guess, that cadre of folks that those protests aren't getting as much attention as the armed protests, and people like talk about themselves. That's all I gotta say about it. Where was I here? So sorry, that was a big tangent. Anyways, 3,000 deaths a day by June 1st is what's being predicted now because of the people like Georgia, like Missy's saying here, Georgia's opening up their state. People are getting like haircuts with like wearing masks, and people are like sitting there like, oh yeah, thank God, I can finally do this. 3,000 per day. What? So, okay, this is the thing I was kind of wrestling with. There's like, how many days are in June? Anybody? 30 days? Let me look before I... Let's see. 30 days. Yeah, I got that right. So 30 days. 3,000 people times 30. That's 90,000 people. So the only reason it's not, according to them, not going to get 90,000 is because the heat's going to come in and change it all. I mean, that's been like the argument. But they're still, I just don't understand what the averages of these numbers are, right? So it's like, oh, they're estimating that 3,000 people are going to start dying in June. So that's after May. So that's after the May numbers of 2,000 averaging a day. And then in June, we're going to get to 3,000 a day, which would be 90,000 people in that month. Plus we're at 60,000, so it's like, what are the real numbers of what's happening? It just seems pretty catastrophic, right? And they're not going down, right? So as everything's opening up across the country, across a bunch of other countries too tried to open up, didn't go so good. The numbers are going up here, right? So like other countries are like, well, things are starting to look better. Maybe we'll try this out. Let's be real careful. Yeah, let's be real careful. Okay, let's do that. And then here in the United States, it's like, well, pandemic fatigue. That's the way I said that. Can you send me that link directly? Is that possible? If you copy and paste that, and I can take a look at that link from. Yeah, that's disgusting. Yeah, that's right. That's the statement. I'm not gonna say it, but somebody's mentioning this statement that was being used, and so those are the numbers we're heading to. The GOP, and I see some of the whatever corporate lackeys of the government. I mean, they're all kind of just in the same pocket as far as I'm concerned. Sorry, not gonna sort of like lambaste which side to choose. I'm just like, fuck them. And they're like three people who seem to actually care about human beings. They're trying to get, they're like people are on unemployment now, and they're trying to open up the states, like North Dakota, right? North Dakota's trying to open up so they can kick people off unemployment, and so they have to go back to work because now there's no reason to be home because the state's open. So like that's done now. Go back to work, and there's literally no safeties in place, no changes. Everything is getting worse. More people are dying daily, but now everyone's just like, go back to work. It's cool. We're going to be fine. And there's a thread too. And I mean, I like people, but there's a thread too of like this pandemic, fatigue happens. Like your friends, there's argument with your friends, right? I don't know. I assume you are, where people are like, hey, like, look, we're all going to get sick anyway. So why be concerned? And you're probably in those arguments. And I don't even know if they're arguments, right? They're just kind of like, oh, that's what you feel, huh? And you're just kind of like, well, yeah. And I'm just, I don't know. The basis of like what people believe is just always, sometimes it's just very disappointing, and for this thrust to get back to work. It's just like, the other thing too, people are talking about, I don't know if you're watching, is like the Dow Jones, which has nothing to do with most of our lives, right? It doesn't. Like when this all started and it dropped, and most people were just like, oh, my life is still paycheck to paycheck shit, that shit's going up. You know what I'm saying? Like all the richest people are still just at the trough of your pocketbooks, just eating all your shit. And there's like, fuck you, Like they literally are. Like it's all still going up because they're just looting everything, and the government is literally giving stimulus packages to the ultra rich. Like, here you go, let's print this money, you know. And then the people who are like out here, like, oh, like this $1,200 I got this one time covered my bills, I guess, and I can't eat some food. You know, I'm like, can you get some more help over here? And they're like, oh no, yeah, we're gonna give you help. Go back to work. You know, that's your help. Go back to work. Good luck. And it's like, and then your job is just going to be sitting next to people. Yeah, this is the super depressing thing I was talking about here. It's on my Twitter feed. You don't know, I'm unedited camera on Twitter. Not the most active Twitter, but you see a few folks sent this over. A best unintentionally erotic use of the phrase "Arbeit macht free" perhaps ever, which brings me to the year's time. It'll be, anyways. So this is a statement is on the entranceway to a concentration camp. And so this person's out here marching for America. With this thing in their hand, and where did they fucking read it? You know what I'm saying? Like, what meme, like what circle of fucking thought were they hanging out when they're like, oh yeah, what's up? My grandkid and me are gonna go out, wear American flag masks on our face. The country went and fought the Nazis. Then I guess we brought a bunch of scientists over and made me to hold this sign for fucking you. You know, like that's just, it's depressing. It's depressing. A more depressing news. This one I want to keep everyone depressed, I guess, and I don't really. Honestly, I'm a pretty joyful person. I like positive things, and like, but this one right now, I'm very frustrated. This weekend was frustrating, watching the reactions, watching these protests, watching the sort of numbers tick up. I don't know how you can't feel frustrated. You know, I feel like we're walking on, like, we're tiptoeing to constant madness, expected to this like smile and be happy or something. So this happened too. Super fucked up. Security guard is shot and killed after telling the customer to put on a mask. Now, if you haven't followed the rhetoric from sort of the right-wing nationalist protests or whatever they're happening, they really, like, they feel like they're freedom fighters. You know, like they are under attack by the government who's telling them that they can't go outside to go shopping at Family Dollar or go shopping at Costco or go for a leisure shop. You know, we're going to go to the store and look at furniture. We're not going to buy anything, but we're just going to have a great fucking Saturday. You know, it's going to be fucking. And they're like, hey, don't do that because it's like a danger to people right now. We don't know what's going on. A security guard is shot and killed after telling the customer to put on a face mask. And so this happened in Flint, Michigan. Somebody walked into the store. A security guard's job is to be like, hey, yo, what's up? You see the signage on the front of our store? It's like, hey, can you wear this mask? So if you're sick, you're not spreading your germs around everybody, you know, because we're trying to make sure everyone can like shop in here and not be sick. And this person's like, how fuck you, you know, how dare you talk to me about what my freedoms, fuck flap, whatever. And they go outside and they went and got like somebody, I don't know, the shooter and the second suspect remain at large, right? They got somebody else, came back and shot the dude in the face, killed him for telling her to wear a mask. Over this, and that person had like 8 kids, right? I don't know if it's in this story, but it's like a black man, sounds like killed by some white folks who were mad about masks. He was a security guard telling them to wear a mask. Literally what he's supposed to do. I know people hate everybody, you know, whatever. People hate everybody telling them what to do. You don't gotta kill him. You know what I'm saying? I don't know who has to die over this shit. But I guess somebody did. And their minds, their perspective of reality that they're like wading through, where they're like being ultra oppressed because they were asked to wear a mask when they went to go shop at the fucking Family Dollar. You know, get over yourself. Like, that is fucked up. You know what I'm saying? That's fucked up. I'm like, feel sick just talking about it. It just makes me, somebody sent me a link. Thanks, Missy. And sorry, yeah, I'm getting this like, So pandemic fatigue. So here's this Center for Infectious Disease Research and Policy. I think I too am going through this, right? Like, I think my partner can probably attest. So suddenly I'm just kind of like, maybe we should like get some food somewhere and bring it home. You know, they can probably let you know. Far from being fatigued by pandemic warnings, the public is just beginning to hear the message, as planners were the ones at risk of pandemic fatigue as we slog our way forward. So at the Business Preparedness for Pandemic Influenza Second National Summit, Atlanta this fall. Anyways, like some of the audience understood him to mean that the public is getting tired of hearing about a possible future pandemic. But as Mike well knows, the public's fatigue isn't a significant problem yet. Our fatigue may be. Yeah, so I mean, I'm hearing that which public are you addressed to? There's really different public, some are completely unaware. Now that's a good point. Like which public? Like, yeah. I mean, obviously this shit sucks. Like it's cool if you want to tell yourself in some parts, but I think like my partner always brings me back to reality. It was like, yeah, we can't go see anybody we want to see, and everyone we love is like walked away from us. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. That's really shitty. And it's been going on for months. Like I don't know how long. How long has this been? How long have we been? Like at least I'm in Minnesota. I've been quarantined for a minute. I could do math. I want to say like April, March, like 2 months, something like that. Is that what's going on in my life right now? Almost in 2 months of this stuff. Yeah, and like in that time I haven't been out a lot, and it's hard and it's frustrating, and I would like to. And then obviously there's always that. I just would like to. And I wish I had better news, because I like if you ask me what's I think we have like a couple years of this probably going on, and I think that there's a lot of there's a lot of stories and a lot of tests that are coming out, kind of like saying that this is this is almost ready, or that's almost ready, and this is gonna happen, and that's always gonna happen. But then they have to like dispense all that to everybody. Then people have to be good with it being dispensed to them, because people don't trust the government, which is understandable. I don't know if anyone's like. That's why it's such an easy thing to exploit for the right, is because don't trust the government pretty easily. Is there like, but to me it's because they're the pockets of like corporations and like basically trying to enact their will on you every day. And to them it's because money is God and money will set us free, and government stands in the way of money being free. I don't fucking know. I don't really get it. But yeah, so that's like a friend of mine who's going to like covering these local protests sent me a picture of somebody who was there, and like, oh yeah, I've seen this person before at these other protests that were like, more left leaning, and now they're here. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Like the government telling everyone what to do, and then like you're being expected to follow them is a pretty like shitty thing from like a lot of communities. Like there's not a lot of trust there at all. There was not trust to begin with. And it doesn't help, obviously, there's no clear unified message from the government. It's just like whoever's talking, so like that's the thing, right? Like I don't want to be in a position where I'm advocating that the government's telling you the right shit. I don't think I am, right? I'm just kind of going with the science and my friends who are like in these different countries, like the firsthand experience of people, what they're seeing. People are losing loved ones. Like I don't want people to experience death. That's so bad. That's not a bad thing to want, right? To like not want for someone else to experience death. And if I have to make a few sacrifices in my life, maybe not so bad. Here's some other interesting news that I think is kind of worth sharing. And again, before we get in here, like Amazon has had series of protests, walkouts, constantly been going on. Amazon, terrible company, does not give a fuck about its workers, wants them to just die in warehouses and doesn't give a shit, wants them to work like machines and basically have no feelings and like just basically not be human. Amazon, shit. Anyways, great. And Jeff Bezos is a piece of shit. Okay, so coronavirus, Amazon vice president quits over virus firings. This happened 5 hours ago. This is pretty breaking news. And yeah, I don't like Jeff Bezos or whatever. I think nobody needs to have that much money. It's just absurd. I just don't give a fuck. He made a shopping cart on the internet. Ooh. And everyone who's a fucking genius in this world, like made a better way to sell something, like who cares? Like really, who gives a fuck? But every single time it's like the people we look up to are the be like, oh, look how good they sold this. Look how good they sold. Oh, this person sells shit really good. Like, oh God, look how much they sell shit. And like, fuck, who cares? Anyways, the vice president of Amazon has quit in dismay at the internet giant's crackdown on workers who criticized it over coronavirus safety measures. I was really curious what's going to happen. Because, Amazon workers have always trying to organize. There's a lot of work done by Amazon, the company, to not let people organize. Like, a lot of work. Like, they literally plan their foreplan of how humans are walking so they can't interact and, like, organize. Like, that's the shit. They're like... They are hiring people to make sure humans cannot organize because they're just like so afraid that their bajillion profit might be a bajill, whatever. Anyway, so Tim Bray described the firing of protesters as evidence of a vein of toxicity running through the company culture. Workers have criticized Amazon for not doing enough to protect warehouse staff against the virus. yeah, this is all like pretty clear, and you can see like during this time that everyone is like in pandemic mode, Jeff Bezos is $24 billion richer. Why? I mean, why can't their workers get paid more? You know, if they're making this much money, what does it fucking matter you made that much money? What does it matter? What does it change any of their life? Like what is it? What's different to like 2 months? Oh, now I have 24 billion. I'll buy this much more useless shit. You know, like who cares? It's absurd. I just get really, really mad about it. Yeah, and that's another thing too. People are talking about. I went out this week, and I did. So I went out. I was in public, and I haven't been in public a lot. So I know that a lot of people are working, and essential workers are out there. Thank you so much. I have not been out there a lot. I've been trying to not become a vector of like spreading this shit to other people, and that's like the most I can do right now. I feel like so that's what I've been doing, and it is scary to be out there if you like take this seriously because you're like literally you go into the public and there's like an instant sort of like cleavage where there's like people out there who believe this is real. There's people who don't believe it's real. And then if you're like one of the people who believes it's real, the people who don't believe it's real are just kind of like, look at this fucking fool, you know? And then if you believe it's real, you're like, how do I get through this weird Frogger mess where I have to cross the street? That asshole's jogging this fast. Here comes somebody on a bicycle. And here's this guy, I don't know, with his kid, just all unmasked, you know? And you're like, okay, 6 feet. And you're like trying to do mental calculations. We had to ship something. We went to a store. We get there. We get greeted by somebody with a mask, which is kind of nice. I'm wearing a mask. Partner's wearing a mask. We're like, all right, we're doing what we can for the people. And the person at the front opens the door, and they're wearing a mask. I'm like, holy fuck, they're doing what they can for the people. And then we get to the counter, and then that dude not wearing a mask, you know. And I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, what's the point of this person, and then you not wearing a mask, you know? In the chat, yeah, Jeff Bezos hate is really. I can go on forever. I just, you know, the other thing that's really frustrating about like making it in this world, to me, if you want me to tell you one more thing that I find frustrating about making it in this world, it's like it seems that when you become a famous person, what you get to do is sell somebody's shit. And that's what makes you famous. When you become like a well-known Instagram star or a YouTuber, you get to sell someone's shit. That's like the reward. Like, you made it. Like, now can you please, like, this pen I'm using to write this letter. You know, it's like, come on. Like, please, somebody come up with anything better. Where was I? Well, that was a lot of tangents. Anyway, so yeah, I'm just going to go back to the Amazon thing. I think it's important, though. You know, like, I don't know how to support the workers. I don't know if I buying shit. I don't really know. I just know that like the day the workers take over the factories, I'm just be like, yeah, they should have took it. Glad you did. What do I have to bring you food? Like, what do I do? You know, because like, yeah, what eventually happens? I hope that, you know, I don't know why not? Amazon last week warned investors that the pandemic had forced costly changes to the business, including spending on protective gear and adjustments to operations that make its warehouses less efficient. Who cares? It's like you're protecting your fucking workers. Like, be like, we gladly have taken some of our money to protect the people who make all the money for us by providing them with safety gear. You know? Like, that's what happened there. They're like, oh, it's less efficient because we have to keep people alive. And then they're the ones that like trudge around to bring us money. And they bring our money and fill our troughs so we can feed ourselves as they work themselves for us. Oh, but we had to spend money on them. Like, it's insane. And it's expected to expend $4 billion of its anticipated quarterly profit. Who cares? And sales are booming, however, and expect sales to rise as high as 28% in the current quarter. Anyways, this shit's a nightmare. It's also a nightmare because like basically the bailout and everything that's happened has reinforced like the Amazon overlordship of our realities. And like, well, like when Trump sort of carted out all the CEOs of these corporations, was basically his way of saying, fuck you small businesses, fuck all you mom and pop stores, fuck anybody who's just like a little business who's like helping out some people with some little shit. No. The people we care about are giant corporations that fucking fund my coming here to be a president, fund me for being a senator, fund me for being a U.S. House rep, fund me for all this shit is what I give a fuck about. Fuck you, you know? And it's just like, it's getting pretty bad. Well, it was already bad too. You know, we say it's getting pretty bad. It's getting so bad that Jesse Ventura might be running for office, and people are excited. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a situation where like, oh, and his stance is that 64% of people didn't vote last election. What the fuck is it? I think that's always a great thing. Moving to the elections, let's talk about the elections for a little bit. I know no one's excited about it. I'm not going to talk about the candidates. I'm just going to talk about how many people voted last year. How many people voted in the 2016 presidential elections? We're going to Wikipedia. Oh, 55.7%. 55.7% of the population voted. So that means that about 45% didn't vote. And that means 55% was split by Donald Trump. Oh, here, I'll put it over here. There we go. Sorry about these faces. I know it's horrifying. But I think that's really interesting. 57%, 55%, right? So like that's who decided the country's leadership. And I don't want to hear anybody talk about like how they're the problem or all that nonsense. Like if you don't give people something to vote for, they're not gonna fucking vote. And nobody come on. What are you talking about? Like you're just telling me that like 45% of people are just like, oh, there's the fucking problem, not the fucking garbage we have as a governmental system. Like, come on, get over it. Just stop it. It's just doesn't make any sense. It's not a real thing. People don't like the fucking options, and this is always going to be for the system that's set up. But yeah, and so who knows what they would vote for? Obviously not Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump, which there you go. And so yeah, so he's kind of running, basically being like, look, if I can get anybody outside of this to vote for me, I still have a chance of winning, because they split 55%. 55.7% of the popular vote was split by these two people, the Democrats and Republicans. That means 45% of people who didn't vote just didn't go to anybody, And so that's like pointing that out. I think that's always interesting because, like, of course, the people in charge don't want those people to vote, no matter what. They can win with what they know. If you had like 5% more people to vote, they're like, shit, like we're going to have to figure out all our numbers, And so like everyone's just always arguing that they're trying to make it easier to vote. I don't really believe it. People like they like their normal. They're gonna want the exact same amount of people, so they know they can fight the cleavages, and who fucking knows. But anyways, yeah, just think about that. That's how many people decided the election. That was a nice tangent. If you don't have any questions or anything, please drop them in the chat. I'm just kind of here for a little bit longer. I got another. Oh yeah, this is the link. Thanks, Amy. Send me a link here. I'm trying to work on my. So here's that. We were talking about that earlier. Arbit macht frei. A Nazi slogan show up at Illinois rally protesting coronavirus lockdown. The one photographed carried the sign at the rally against the policies of the Illinois governor, who is Jewish. There you go. The use of an infamous Nazi slogan featured on the gates of the Auschwitz-Birkenau concentration camps in an Illinois protest against coronavirus pandemic shutdowns, along with other Nazi imagery, has sparked widespread condemnation. I don't obviously know how. Like I said, this person was like, this is my best idea. But I think it's also important, like the realities that people are swimming in out there, like the shit that they let build up around them to be like the way they see the world, the way their friends reinforce the way they see the world. Like this is like, they wrote that shit and meant it. You know what I'm saying? Like they were like, oh, fuck. I don't know what meme circle I was in or what garbage shit I was in, but this is what we're talking about. It's a great sign. Oh, and it stands for the phrase, let's see what it say. Yeah, it's that work sets you free. Was famously featured atop the iron gates of the entrance of Auschwitz. So can you imagine that shit? Like this person's walking around with a sign that was featured on a fucking Nazi concentration camp, wearing an American flag on their fucking face. And they just mean it. Like they're like, this made sense for my day. This is how I'm going to spend my fucking May Day. And this shit was frustrating because all these protests happen on May Day. Which is sort of like this like international like workers day, and I just feel like that was also like it was disappointing. There's so much coverage of these protests versus like all the May Day activities across the state, and that's what happens. People feel bad about this shit. So yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Like if people are worried about So like far right actors within these protests, like of course they're there. They're always there. They're literally always trying to use this shit for their advantage. Be it fucking the same. Anytime you hear someone complain about like immigrants and fucking, it's just like the same. I mean, you hear those same talking points. You know where they're coming from. You know, there's like, we're gonna get control, and like my white nation state will be the best, and that's what they fucking want. You know. Yeah, it's just so confusing. It's just like so fucking confusing, but it sucks. Yeah, here's these guys. Death victory. He's smoking. That's good. Can't run too far. A little bypass. Yeah, so these guys are armed. I think he's wearing a plate carrier. So the people own guns too. The right wing militants love guns. They always have. A lot of people have been training with guns. They can reload them faster than other people, I guess. And yeah, and I don't know what to think about that. I mean, I would hope that people are worried. What other countries saying about us? You know, like I think that, you know, like what there's like the United States perception of itself, which has always been like a little too much. You know, it's very highly of itself. Sorry, I was reading the comments. Yeah, I didn't know what I was talking about. Well, I guess, I mean, yeah, this guy, I don't even want to talk about him anymore. It's over it. And, you know, it's just important too. And I guess, like, super bummer all the time. That's all we talk about is super bummer. But, like, people are experiencing COVID-19 in prisons. They're experiencing them in ICE detention, which is notoriously fucked up. Let me try to find you a story just to bring back the fucked upitude here. Give me 1 second. I think recently, was it Florida? A judge was like, hey, your detention center is so fucked up. You should probably release the people in detention. So to give you an idea of what, and we don't know. I mean, that's the other thing too. Like that we don't really know what's going on in prisons. We don't really know what's going on in jails. Like people are doing that work and it's coming out, but also the states and the people who are in charge of things are doing the work to try to make sure that the information doesn't come out. You know, like they've like I can show you some of those stories in a second. But so a federal judge has ordered authorities to release hundreds of immigrants from 3 Florida detention centers, including 2 in South Florida, to prevent a wider spread of coronavirus. The U.S. District Court Judge Marcella Cook said the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement must submit a report Sunday with steps to bring down the center's population from 1,400 to 350. Anyways, and the reason is because there's riddle with COVID-19. Jail, prison isn't a place where you can do social distancing. It's not a real thing. It isn't a real thing. Unless you like, every prisoner gets their own room and own bathroom and shit's fucking unbelievable. So everyone's masked up. Like all these things that aren't happening. I've been to jail. I tell you, I was in a cell, maybe a little like this. I don't know. Not much bigger than this. No, I was like, I'm gonna add my desk. Basically, I was in a cell, and there was like I think 9 to 12 people in it. You know, so everyone's just standing up like this, and we're just like, yeah, we're in jail together. This is fun. You know, we spent a couple hours in there like that. And that's fucking common shit. I don't know what people's perception of like jail or actually no, people's perception of jail is not very good because usually what happens when people go to jail, they're like appalled at how they're treated and they're literally just being treated like prisoners. When people went to jail at Standing Rock, we had to like bend over, show our assholes, lift our ball sacks, you know, and like get naked for these people. That's what they do to the fucking people who go to jail, you know, and like yeah, maybe they treat us worse. But literally everyone that goes to jail has to go through the same. They fucking strip search you. They're gonna look at your orifices. They're gonna put you in little containers to wait. You're gonna have no autonomy, no idea if the door is gonna open or not. You're just gonna be sitting there waiting, and it's gonna suck. And so like, in ICE detention is the same thing. You know, it's even worse because most of these places are probably private. Again, now I'm just making assumptions. A lot of them are private. Which, you know, what all that does, what a private jail does, it makes it so that oversight from the government isn't there. And whatever you hate the government or whatever, every private entity does not want oversight from anybody because they just want to like police themselves and do whatever the fuck they want. And usually it's not good. Like, let's talk about people doing whatever they want. Let's go to fucking. I'm gonna go to North Dakota. Let's end it in North Dakota. We'll end it in North Dakota. This would be the great time. Let's see this video. Let's see here. I'm put the with a foot down. Oh, was a master blacksmith. Oh. Someone's trying to share some subversion of what I felt with that sign. I don't know if I can completely get it across. Thank you, though. And thanks everybody who's commenting and driving, giving questions and stuff. It's really helpful. Again, I'm Lorenzo. I'm like your host, friend, just hanging out. Usually we have guests. Mondays I've been trying to have a sort of like update for the week and then sort of like talk about some news with you all, which is what I'm doing right now. This week I'm supposed to have two guests. One looks like they might not make it on Wednesday. On Friday, I didn't mention it, but they said they were going to do it. I'm supposed to be interviewing a local principal for an indigenous school who also is experiencing this pandemic, and we're going to be talking about just like the teachers, the students, what the school's about. And I'm really looking forward to that. It's going to be on Friday. Again, I'm trying my best to put these shows together. I have help, some help from my partner on the back end here. I really appreciate it. But it's just me, and it can get stressful trying to get like guests and stuff and organize things so it isn't a complete disaster. But also, it can be a disaster. It can be fun. Anyway, so I want to show you. I'm from North Dakota, so I kind of go there occasionally. Or I like to talk about it, but I think North Dakota is like, just it means a lot to me. Well, if you don't know, the North Dakota state's trying to reopen. The leadership of North Dakota has always been very, very stratified, but it's very business oriented, like Republican. Even though the only things that are good are also like the lefty things that are made, like the Bank of North Dakota, the North Dakota Mill. Those are the things that provide consistent profit for the state, where leftist institutions are made by in like the early 1900s. And basically those things that exist that have saved the state over and over again, even though that the leadership is garbage and continually tries to sell all of its assets to private corporations that aren't in the state. And what I mean by that is like all the fracking and stuff was like the first time that North Dakota allowed these other corporations to bring in and extract wealth and take it out of the state. And you should have charged them everything. Leadership, you should have charged them fucking everything. But no, I guess you want to make a deal to get it out faster. If it's, who cares? Anyways, other thing that happened there is there was a massive failure in like the system of response to COVID-19. Basically, like workers at L&M Glass Fiber in Grand Forks, North Dakota alerted that there was somebody who had COVID-19. That person was allowed to continue working and went and infected all the different like workstations. He was a worker who traveled. And then they reached out to OSHA. They reached out to the state. Workers kept reaching out. It was workers too. It wasn't like there wasn't management. It wasn't the fucking CEO, like leader, or like Mike Brown, the mayor, stepping up to like do the right thing for the people. No, it was the workers, the people who are literally rescuing them lives. They had to do it themselves, and everyone who was above them didn't give a fuck. It was the workers again. One more time, the workers. And yeah, they basically found out that there was like a giant outbreak. And the most confusing part is like after this giant outbreak in Grand Forks, North Dakota, they're going to open up the state. They're going to open up North Dakota. Everything's cool. North Dakota's fine. Everything's cool. And let's see if I can find the one thing. So there was like, and to give you an idea of like how fucking nightmare it is in North Dakota, at least to me, is so like after this outbreak, after this complete fail of like the system is in place to sort of oversee the workers, they keep them safe. Like when you like you go to a job, they're like, okay, if anything's wrong, you just got to report it here. Just report it right here. Just report this, or go talk to this person, and then we'll figure it out. We're all there are all these steps in place, and to me, all those steps in place are just so you don't unionize. Don't like organize with your workers. Like everything is in place so you don't do shit, right? Like if I like I'm upset with what's going on, and the proper thing for me to do is go talk to this person, and then they're gonna deal with it. It ensures that I do nothing, Anyways, and that's this whole system's in place. And my idea is that every system's in place so people don't riot. So, anyways, so today in North Dakota, there's like this. They said they're gonna have drive-through testing. In Fargo, North Dakota, and this kind of like it was a big deal. We're opening it up, everyone can come, and then they had to cancel the shit because they didn't have enough tests. So mass testing events have been scheduled for Monday in Fargo and Tuesday. And they had to cancel the test because they don't have enough. And Doug Bergen, who's just sweet. I love that you just don't have to be at hot. I love that the reality of things now is you just say what you are. Like, we're not a hotspot. There's no hotspots here, even though we just had to shut down this company, and the city's really worried because Ellen glass fiber workers are going everywhere, and the city's open, and they're trying to open up restaurants and shit, and we just had all these cases. Yeah, whatever, no big deal. And not even, not even that. I want to also, like, Simplot, who's also in Grand Forks, North Dakota, and also had a case of this is an idea of like what business leaders are doing. So they so I can find this real quick. So they tested someone positive and they canceled all their testing because they're like, oh no, there's nobody. Yeah, so they were like given. I'm bringing the Grand Forks Herald on here. They might try to get me to pay for this shit. I'm not gonna, because I just don't care. Oh, no, it didn't work. Yeah, but basically, like, Simplot was like, no, we're good. We don't have to test. We're fine. And that was their response. It's like, they had one test. Like, no, somebody got sick and we don't got to test anymore. No big deal. Don't worry about it. I can find this. I obviously didn't find the thing. Yeah, super. Yeah. Someone just texted me and said it was okay. It was bummer stuff. Okay, well, I think I don't know what else there is to say. I feel like I got a lot of my mad out. Yeah. So that was it. I think, like, the honest truth is that this show, doing this is way easier than organizing, like, interviews. It just is. Like, and I could have done a better job with this. There's a lot of things I want to talk about. There's a lot of stories everywhere that I wanted to talk about. I didn't. In the out west. Yeah, Bismarck's let down. And so, yeah, I'm really trying to weigh what I'm going to do in the future. I'm trying my best to organize interviews. I'm trying to bring somebody in and talk about Freedom of Information Acts and sort of like what's going on with sort of government transparency during this time. Because if you don't know, there were some laws that were passed that allow everyday citizens, non-citizens, maybe people, to access public information from government institutions, because the government's supposed to be transparent. Yeah, it's not very hard to reason why, but they're supposed to be. And how they allow that transparency is like through this horrible processing. But you can get information. But as this pandemic has unfolded, those sort of like departments and police stations and the FBI and like the CIA and all those people, all the alphabets, have constricted their departments that deal with Freedom of Information Acts because of the pandemic. So now they're like, well, usually we'd have to tell you what's going on, but the pandemic, we don't might have to anymore. And it's good to know. And I also wanted to like start building in something with you all, where we sent the Freedom of Information Act to somebody at the end of every show, and to see if it ever comes back. I mean, I can show you this process. I don't think I can do it right now. So I'm hoping to interview somebody from Muck Rock, and this is gonna kind of gonna end it. And yeah, everything is open to this information. If you don't have testing and it's propagandized, like those are all very good points. Like really what is needed is like massive testing in order to set people at ease. Like, sure, I'm not part of this org anymore. I removed myself from it, and it still shows up. I apologize. That's fucking annoying. I'm not part of this. Oh god. It still says I am. Anyways, I'm not part of that organization. I left them earlier. I don't know why it's still there. Hold on. I'm giving you all my private info. I should probably get off. Anyways, we're gonna go there. We're gonna do some some Freedom of Information Acts, and oh yeah, there's a good news thing, and this it just like allows you to. People should know how to do it, first of all, and mostly if you're out there and you're somebody who's doing this sort of work in the field, you're around different campaigns. Knowing how to send a Freedom of Information Act request is pretty important. And now I feel like I really want to. I'm not part of this personal account to show you how to do it because I feel like it's kind of important. So anybody who's out there, you can do this too. You don't have to be part of an org. You don't have to be part of anything. You just go and you can like what's a department? I feel like I want to show people this so bad all of a sudden. So muckrock.com, really great. I'm looking to bring a guest on. I'm not, again, part of this org. I left it multiple times. I think the site's a little messed up. But this really lets you, like, Minneapolis. So, like, okay, so if you want information from the Minneapolis Police Department, I think a friend of mine was watching who wanted to know how to do this stuff. So we're going to do a real quick teaching lesson. But yeah, so here we are. We're like, oh, hey, the Department of Corrections in Minnesota, COVID-19, whatever, information on prisons. So I'm getting a lot of text. And then here, so what this will do is it'll auto-populate everything, right? So you're like, okay, well, I need to know what agency it's like a Minnesota, you know, and it'll pop up like, oh, I can send it to the governor. I can send this request to the governor too. I can send it to the Minneapolis, the Office of the Attorney General, you know. So all of these things are kind of like different things you can add layers on. And then the site will automatically sort of formulate how that institution likes to get its freedom of information requests, you know, and it'll do the format for you. Yeah, I don't have any of this. I'm gonna re-up my shit soon so I can do this because like I said, I'm not part of the org. I have no free requests anymore or org requests. I have to figure that out. But what it does, and maybe I can look at this is an old request I did for no more deaths. So I sent this request to whomever may concern. This is a request under the Freedom of Information Act. Hereby request the following records. The only thing I wrote in this was emails contain no more deaths from January 20th, 2017 to 25th, 2018. And then I sent that out, and then they mistered me, which is fucking infuriating, but that's just how it goes. 5 days later, again, I use gender-neutral pronouns, and they basically sent me a bunch of stuff, and they're like, oh, we're sorry. And then on May 1st, was it? May 1st, so like a month later, oh no, so I sent this request in January 25th, and then 5 months later, they sent me a bunch of emails that I was looking for, right? And so that's like that. That's what like this is like a lot of data journalism is trying to get batches of information from these people. You know, they can see they sent me like their transcripts of what they already sent me, and then they sent this different sort of responses, and you can see like the emails and stuff. But it's pretty cool. If you're really into Freedom of Information Acts, or like you want to look at how the city is dealing with like an event that happened, you can go to muckrock.com, basically be like, whatever city, we'll go back to this really quick. And then I'm going to go. I know this is a complete aside, but I think it's pretty important. You know, so I know like here's like, I think somebody on is from Las Vegas. You'd be like Las Vegas, the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority. That's a public institution. That means that you could probably get sort of like, this is really interesting. You can probably get sort of like a public, like where people get really good stuff is this receipts, you know, because the city has to buy shit and they have to keep the receipts. And sometimes you'll get the receipts and you can get more information and look deeper for it, you know? But yeah, so if you're into data journalism, you're into like Freedom of Information Acts, check out muckrock.com and start sending out requests. If you don't have money to pay for an account, it's just a request that's public for everyone to see. And I apologize that it says I'm part of that org. I am not, and I'll take myself off. And anybody who's from that org, I don't give a fuck. I don't want anything to do with it. But yeah, just like check that out. Super important stuff, and it's how we get a look at what the government's actually doing. But right now, it's sort of like not letting us see as much. And I'm hoping we bring in a guest to talk about that probably next week. And again, this show is going to run for one more month. So by the end of May, we're going to have like a final show conversation on like, should I keep doing this or not? You know? And that's going to be where we get. Right now, I have some people who are supporting me do this. Let me look at my questions here really quick. Yeah, FOIA's super hard to get an answer to. Send me that link directly, and I can pop it up. But yeah, that's the thing. That's you saw was 5 months of waiting. That's how long I had to wait for answers. But if you look at like a lot of our work during the code access pipeline, when I was part of a Unicorn, right, which I'm not anymore, there's a lot of FOIA work that went into that, and some of the FOILs are faster than others. Like you see here, the different departments. Some of these people are going to respond faster than other people. You know, some of them might have like somebody who works at the desk is sympathetic to FOIA and believes in government transparency, and they might move fast. Other people might not believe in FOIA and they have that position and they're going to move really fucking slow. And also, these things can produce a large amount of charges and money. Like they'll a lot of times they'll come back and they'll be like, if you want this information, give us $1,000, which then you can like negotiate about the public good of the information and all this stuff. But a lot goes into it. We'll talk about it hopefully soon. We're going to end on a public note of positivity. And I want to say too, if you do want to support me doing shit like this, coming on, talking about the news, getting interviews about this indigenous food, indigenous issues, people of color shit, queer shit. Not super interested in a lot of other stuff, because you don't need me to talk about the fucking protests. Everyone's fucking talking about the white people who are marching on the Capitol. Like everyone's gonna talk about it. You don't need me to talk about it. I'm not gonna talk about it that much. But I will talk about, I guess, over 100,000 flamingos reportedly descend on Mumbai amid India's strict coronavirus lockdown. Yeah, so that's another thing that's really happening right now is like as humans sort of refrain, like pull back from public, like a wildlife is coming into public view again. It was always there, just like it doesn't like us because we're such hogs over the environment. Anyways, what also like I mean about, these protests that are happening, I think it's important to not disregard it in the sense that you can't say that everyone's just crazy and a kook or whatever. I think that's the easiest thing to say. I think that's the response we have to most stuff because we don't want to deal with it. And so anytime you're like, to me, and again, I am like not in a lot of circles because I have this attitudes, like people don't like it. But yeah, it's like, you can't just disregard it, right? People are getting their beliefs from somewhere and those beliefs are constructing their actions. And that's a pretty big fucking deal. Regardless how you feel about those beliefs, if they're real or not to you, people are still acting on them enough where they're roaming around with guns going to like capitals to, that shit seems pretty serious. And I think the mechanisms and the money behind it is pretty extreme. Like there's a lot of money in like the right to regurgitate talking points to get people to believe a certain thing. There's a lot of money in that. A phenomenal amount of money. And also it's like everybody in this charge of these networks needs hits to make money. They need news to make money. They need something that people are going to be outraged about or whatever, So of course what's put in the front page is going to be the people who are like the people who reflect themselves more. Like when they see like white folks are like, oh, I feel so bad that my brethren are doing this shit, European Americans, whatever. And so they like see themselves like, oh, we have to report on this. But yeah, I'm not going to do that too much. I'll talk about it just because it's happening, but also I want to talk about like what we're doing to get through this pandemic, what we're doing to make a better world that we're in right now, and how we can envision that. And also, just like to be really clear, I don't think a lot of that has to do with asking people to be nicer. And so I'll say that a lot. That I'm not here to report on every protest about asking someone to be nicer. I don't think people are going to be nicer. I think they're going to be exactly how they've already been. They already showed you how they're going to be. They've exampled themselves to us over and over and over again. I'm not believing anyone's going to be nicer. I will interview political figures who are new to the political sphere. I think I interviewed a young progressive queer woman from running in San Francisco. You can go back as a progressive democratic socialist. And I'll do that because it's just different thoughts thread. I'm not going to probably interview a Dem because there's nothing much new there for me to interview. There's nothing to learn. I can just go and watch the march they're trying to march this week. And also, and I'm probably not going to interview a lot of conservatives because, again, I get that you get your news from one place. And so, yeah, I'm going to try to get people in here try to give you a little bit different perspective. A lot of the perspective from Indigenous folks. Again, I think that like people have had relationships with the world that are different than what we have right now. A lot of those people are Indigenous people. They have a lot to teach everyone of how we can go forward into a different world. And so, yeah, super interested in that. And I'm going to do my best to keep trying to bring that content to you all. Department of Agriculture. There's like conversations I don't really understand going on. Hey, thank you so much, Missy, for being here. I'll try to keep going. I was going to say, too, if you're interested in supporting this, I almost got there. Go to patreon.com/Lorenzo Serna. You can give whatever. I think somebody gives me $25 a month down to $2 a month. Whatever you give, if you give money on that platform, you get access to like my little special notes where I tell people what I'm thinking about the show and what I'm trying to do. I was trying to make overlays to each of these sort of like windows you're seeing right now to make them prettier and like brand them more. I didn't do that because I have a lot of also work that pays the bills. It takes a lot of time. Everything takes so much time. That's why you give time to things you love. But yeah, so we're going to keep coming back. Again, you can also donate via PayPal, contact@lorenzosarna.com. Thank you so much to all my donors. It's always really humbling when somebody donates, and I just want everyone to know that that money is going into this platform. I bought another piece of gear to kind of like fix what I feel like this situation is, where I have my tripod right now. I don't really like it. So I got another one coming that was from you all. I'm going to reorganize my studio space, which is this room, soon. I'm gonna change everything a little bit. And so keep bearing with me, and yeah, we'll have guests Wednesdays and Fridays. This Wednesday it might just be this again, and if you don't mind it, I just support it, or just let me know and I'll keep doing it and I'll organize it better. I feel like, going through links, what I always say, like people just want someone to read the news to them who has time to like sit around with the news, and I can do that. But yeah, this is cool. Flamingos galore. And that's the other thing that's happening. And I hope that as we transition, that's my last thoughts. And then as whatever transition happens, and I think that whatever transition happens that we want to be good, it's going to probably have to come from the people. It's not going to come from the government or the corporations. Those aren't interested in good. They're trying to put everyone back to work and cut out people's unemployment benefits so they can go like risk their lives to make sandwiches for people who have money to go buy sandwiches. Because the people who are making the sandwiches probably can't buy them. That's their interests, and so I don't think that we can look to them for a lot of like good ideas of what the future should hold. And so I'm really hoping that I can bring on some guests and some ideas of what we can think of together and what we can strive for together. Because I really think in the end, that's what it's going to be. It's like whatever we decide, we're going to have to go make come to fruition. We're going to have to go decide to make come true. And that's where I think we're heading. And I think that if we don't do that, if we sit around and hope that people are going to make nicer decisions for us or going to be kinder than they were last week, we're just going to end up in the same place. And also the money and the absolute power that's behind reopening the government or reopening the economy and making businesses not liable for your death if you get COVID-19 on their workplace, because they don't have to, provide a safe workplace. That's just, don't got to do that no more or whatever. Like, that's inevitable if we don't stop it. And so I don't know what that's going to look like. I hope we talk about it next week. But it's just not looking like asking. That's all I have to say. And I appreciate everybody out there who went on strike and risked it all. I know a lot of people ended up in jail. People probably got hurt. And yeah, I know that labor organizing is going to continue, and I look forward to learning more. If any labor organizers want to come in, even laborers, workers, let me know. And yeah, it's like people are going to lead the way from their communities, and I look forward to hearing about what they're doing, and I look forward to like showing up for my folks too. So that's it. I think I'm going to call it. But thank you so much for being here. Like I said, I'm Lorenzo Serna. I'm your host. I do use gender neutral pronouns. They, there. I look like this. It's weird for folks, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean shit. And yeah, just know that I do believe that like a better world is possible. I always have. I'm unapologetic about it, and I continue to figure out how we strive and get there. And yeah, it's not easy, and I hope that we do it in a careful and caring way. but it's the only option left. So see you there. See you on the front lines. See you at the barricades. Love you all. Talk soon. Follow, like, share. Again, I have no budget to do promotion. The platform I helped build is gone. I'm just starting over. So whatever you do to help that, thank you so much. And yeah, the decision will be made on what I end up doing based on how this goes. So much respect. We have 1 month to really burn, and look forward to talking. And that's it. Thanks, everyone. You're all lovely. Oh, let's go back to my theme music here. We'll end it. Thanks again to the Red Seeds. Oh, and to everyone out there who's going to like dancing and stuff, I respect you a lot. There's still joy to be had. The sun's still rising. The soil is still good and raising the little plant babies. Be careful out there. And I hope you do well. I'm Lorenzo. And I'm out. Take care.